VI was the first English monarch to have his coronation televised back in 1937. But no video cameras covered Fred Perry that same year, as he fell short in his attempt to win a fourth straight title at Wimbledon. In 6 decades since, only Bjorn Borg has won more consecutive championships, 5 in a row, stopped by McEnroe. So will Pete Sampras get his own throne if he this year claims a personal four-peat? Or perhaps Boris Becker can recapture the form that 3 times has made him the Kaiser of center court. Some other stars are just beginning their Wimbledon hardware collections, like Andre Agassi, who took the trophy 4 years ago. And then there are heroes whose day at Southwest 19 has not yet come, like Goran Ivanisevic, twice a finalist, not yet the first Croatian champion, or Yevgeny Kafelnikov, the Russian Tsar who toppled France and has his eyes set on conquering England. And just a dream, what would be more elegant than for Stefan Edberg, London's most beloved Swedish citizen, to join Becker and Sampras on the roll of 3-time winners. The Knights of the grass courts are assembled as the coronation at Wimbledon begins.
3, where 1993 finalists, still 8th-seeded. Jim Courier takes on Jonathan Stark, mixed doubles partner of Martina Navratilova. Courier has won 2 of their 3 previous meetings. On court number 2, Alberto Costa of Spain, clay court star, goes against Michael Chang of the United States. Chang, of course, won the French Open back in 1989, never beyond the quarterfinal here. Then on court 2, Andre Agassi, seeded all the way up at number 3 despite indifferent play this year, takes on a qualifier, Doug Flack. And in contrast to Sampras's rocky draw, if Agassi wins today, he gets another qualifier in the next round. On court number 1, Jean-Philippe Pouliot of France is the first-round opponent for Boris Becker, who over the course of the past year, since making the final against Sampras, has played brilliant tennis, won the Australian Open, and many believe he can win again a 4th championship this year. Goran Ivanisevic gets a qualifier named David Nenken of South Africa. They've never met before. Nenken takes over the spot, vacated this morning by Bernd Karbacher of Germany, and we'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. On center court, as we've told you, it's Sampras against Renenberg. And as you see, Renenberg beat him twice back in 1990. Pete has won 5 straight times since then. In the first women's match of the tournament on center court, we'll have second-seeded Monica Seles against fellow American Anne Grossman from Columbus, Ohio. They've never played before. And following that, it will be Stefan Edberg in a sentimental journey to the place where he's won 2 Wimbledon championships against Frenchman Guy Forget. Edberg, at age 30, in his last time around at Wimbledon. You give him a chance to win, Mary?
I do. If he can beat Guy Forget, I think he can work his way through that section of the draw.
All right, more on Edberg later. Let's go now to center court.
A chance to close this match out out here on court 3. The number 12 seed. Miss hit.
Game, set, match.
Ooh, and a very close call on the baseline. But no change, and so Date out here on court number 3 wins it in straight sets. She moves into the second round. Let's have a look now at her draw. She is out into the second round. She will play the winner of Catalina Cristea from Romania and Anna Gael Sido from France. And that should be some tough tennis. Now back to you, Jim.
About her dramatic semifinal run in the Australian Open, a tournament victory at Lipton a little bit later on in the year, but since then badly bothered by tendonitis in her right wrist. And today we're told that Chanda Rubin has pulled out of the draw. It's going to leave a hole in the 16 women's seeds, and it's going to be a tremendous disappointment to Chanda's growing legion of fans. Rubin is out. Another player will take her place. Steffi Graf, incidentally, has been bothered by a knee. She's talked about it before the tournament. Now, it always seems that Steffi is bothered by an injury or an ailment of some sort before every Grand Slam championship, but the rumor has been rife here for the past couple of days that she's actually considering dropping out of the competition rather than to gun for yet another Wimbledon singles championship. Most of us don't believe that that's possible, but we will be watching to see what Steffi does in the next couple of days about her ailing knee. Yevgeny Kafelnikov, winner of the French Open, also has a knee injury, pulled himself out of the doubles competition, leaving German Mark Gullner, the big server, without a doubles partner. And Kafelnikov will focus on singles competition for the time being. Of course, we'll keep an eye on him to see how badly the knee might be bothering the French Open champion. And finally, Bernd Karbacher of Germany, the man who wiped out Goran Ivanisevic in Paris, was scheduled to play Ivanisevic again in the first round today, but early this morning, Karbacher banged his foot while coming down the stairs out of his apartment and apparently injured his toes. Now, there are conflicting reports as to whether it was injured toes, a sprained ankle, some general foot injury, but this picture is of Karbacher at a hospital today, and he was examined by doctors, treated in the emergency room of the hospital, and then dropped out of the tournament, leaving Ivanisevic with the delectable assignment of playing a lucky loser from the qualifying draw in the first round. Not so lucky, Pete Sampras, who got the remarkable...
Right now.
She's concentrating on her curtsy right now. So you got to turn at the service line and curtsy, make sure you get the right foot behind the left foot, and it's nerve-wracking.
Been a long time for Monica out here, 4 years ago, and she gives a big wave to that crowd, and I think everybody, Martina, really delighted to see her back.
They cannot wait to see her again. I mean,
Going against Patty Schnyder from Switzerland. This is court number 3 as Mary Pierce, the number 13 seed, at the bottom of your picture, going against Patty Schnyder from Switzerland at the top. Oh, talk about a risky little shot. And so Mary Pierce wins the first set, 6-3 out here on court 3. Now back to court number 2.
set for Monica.
That means a very technical tennis term. As we have a look at the Seles parents, Esther and Karoli, they haven't been sitting in the sunshine at Wimbledon either for 4 years.
Kanki a word, or did you make it up, Mary?
That's a Carilloism.
Oh, it's I've heard that around, actually.
S-K-A-N-K-Y? Kanki. Put it in your dictionary.
I'm going home after this match and looking that one up.
I don't think it would be acceptable in a game of Scrabble.
Second serve.
What I so respected about Monica Seles after her loss to Jana Novotná in Paris was that she came right into the press room and said, I played scared. And she said, Jana, she deserved to beat me. And she also said, I cannot keep playing that way. I don't like playing that way. And boy, she's looking pretty loose and comfortable and relaxed out there today.
She admitted being nervous, which I think is great. So many players deny that they are nervous. I mean, Greg Norman at the Masters, excuse me, he got nervous.
How about Jana Novotná?
Jana Novotná. She choked. They're just not admitting it. I think it's great that she admitted it. But Billie Jean earlier said she wasn't surprised that Monica was scared, but I was, because I've never seen her play scared before. That was the first time. It's to be expected rather, but not from Monica Seles, because she's never done it before. That slice again got away from Anne Grossman. She was already pulling back her body into the middle of the court, and the ball jumped away from her, and then she shanked it out of bounds.
I think Anne Grossman thought she was back on clay for a minute.
Seles threw herself at that one and gives herself a match point.
There's another Seles approach shot, a winner.
Well, that had to feel pretty good, huh? In under an hour, Monica Seles after a 4-year layoff, makes it look easy, taking out Annie Grossman 6-1, 6-2. And Seles now faces Katerina Studenikova as she takes the applause, who had beaten Elena Makarova earlier today.
HBO's coverage of the world's most prestigious tennis tournament.
The number 13 seed, Pierce, serving for this match. It's good. And so Mary Pierce looking very solid out here on court 3, an easy winner, 6-3 and 6-1. Pierce moves into the second round of the women's competition. She will take on Claire Taylor of Great Britain, and that could be a tough match, John, although Taylor may not have enough for her. Let's head back now to court number 2. 3 seed breezing with a 6-love, 5-love lead. Sylvia Farina from Italy trying to hang in out here on court 1 against the number 3 seed and former Wimbledon champion Conchita Martinez. High backhand volley, tough shot, John. You handle that shot without too much trouble.
Well, she's finally got a winner, but poor old Farina here. I mean, this has been a complete stroll in the park for Conchita Martinez today.
When I said hard at work, I should have said hard at trying to concentrate when you have that big a lead. Oh, Farina gets caught. Tries a delicate little drop volley. I talked earlier to both Martina and to Billie Jean King about Conchita Martinez and what a great athlete she really is. I think they both respect this young woman's athletic ability.
Got a great all-round game.
Slice catches Farina. And so now Conchita Martinez with match point out here on court number 1.
For a double bagel.
It's the top of the net. And it's good. And so Conchita Martinez in straight sets. An easy win out here on court 1 for Martinez. She moves into round number 2. She will take on Lisa Raymond in that second round. And so Conchita Martinez, the number 3 seed, moves ahead easily. Let's head back now to
Another Wimbledon title, and Mary Pierce, the 1995 Australian Open winner, looks to prove there's more where that came from. It was a joyous welcome that greeted Monica Seles, the number 2 seed, coming back on this center court for the first time since her final round loss to Steffi Graf in 1992. And against Anne Grossman, she looked very sharp very early on.
Well, this was a perfect match for Monica Seles to start her Wimbledon tournament with. Anne Grossman couldn't hurt her, doesn't hit the ball hard enough.
An early break for 3-1. And challenging Annie Grossman again at 4-1.
Seles looked very confident. Hitting the ball so hard, as usual.
All Seles. That made it 5-1 for Monica.
Game in first set, Miss Seles, 16-1.
That first set taking only 24 minutes, and the second set taking not much longer. Here's match point.
Game in third match, Miss Seles.
6-1, 6-2. Andy Grossman was game, but she was barely a speed bump against Monica Seles. And afterwards, we asked Monica what it was like to be out there again.
Today's response at the beginning, before the match, and the end of match, it all just makes it so much more special that, gosh, I really made the right decision, then back, and I'm having a great time. And it's been just great. The whole year has been unbelievable.
Court 2 action saw Great Britain Samantha Smith, one of 6 British wildcards, take on the number 15 seed from Romania, Irina Spirlea, who's had a very, very fine 96.
Samantha Smith gave up the game for a couple of years and now has made a comeback and is very talented.
She sure showed it in set 1, taking it 6-3. But she ran out of winners in set 2, and Spirlea took real control.
Smith has had a tendency in the past to fade in matches.
Did a fade in the middle set, lost at 6-1. And now match point for Irina Spirlea at 5-2.
Game, Spirlea, 2 sets to 1, 3 games, 6-1.
So with a little bit of trouble, the number 15 seed advances. Over on court 1, no trouble at all for Spain's number 3 seed, Conchita Martinez, taking on the Italian Sylvia Farina. Martinez already cruising for love in this first set.
Well, Farina didn't have anything to bother Conchita Martinez with today.
Nice bit of work at the net. Conchita Martinez went on to take the first set, 6-love. And here she's up, love 5 in the second.
Stroll in the park today for Martinez.
One-time Wimbledon winner showed some pretty good form today. Some more good form being shown over on court 3 by Mary Pierce, playing against Patty Schnyder of Switzerland. Here, Schnyder is serving up 2-1.
Pierce looked very strong today. Hit the ball as hard as anybody I've seen on the tour.
And that helped her take the first set, 6-3. Pierce serving in set 2 at 5-2. Match point.
Match is finished. 6-3, 6-2.
Very commanding straight sets win then for Mary Pierce.
Well, it was pretty to watch Monica Seles walk out there for the first time in 4 years and soak up all of that love and adulation from the fans. How well is she playing?
She's playing pretty well. She really enjoyed herself out in the center court today, but I still question her mobility around the court, and she wasn't really tested against Anne Grossman because Anne Grossman couldn't hurt her from the baseline.
But what a fighter she is, huh?
Oh, and the mind is so good. She wants to win so badly.
Well, you talk about the minds. Conchita Martinez won Wimbledon here a couple of years ago, and Mary Pierce won the Australian Open last year. They both proved that they can win majors. Are they ever going to do it again?
Well, I think Mary Pierce has got a long way to go because mentally she seems so fragile. Conchita Martinez has got all the game. She really has got such an all-round game. She can come in the net, stay back. I don't know what's really missing her game. She's got to come into the net more, I think, if she's going to win Wimbledon.
Now, there's another great competitor on the women's side, and as we noted earlier, there were reports circulating around Wimbledon these past few days that defending women's champion Steffi Graf might be less than 100%, raising the hopes perhaps of her opponents, but succeeding only in raising the eyebrow of Frank DeFord.
There are 2 rules in sport that all...
Wimbledon, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
of Wimbledon sees center stage, just as Queen Elizabeth did in 1953, when she was the first Lady Monarch to have her coronation televised. Elizabeth was new to the spotlight, unlike Wimbledon Queen Maureen Connolly, whose 1953 championship fit neatly between the accompanying titles she won in 52 and 54. 3 coronations in a row. Now Steffi Graf has won 6, prompting us to observe there is no more taxing experience in women's tennis than playing Graf on center court. Every point against her must feel as though you're on trial for your life. For the women here, Shaq Fu, it's not about the jewelry, it's about silver plates. The silver plate that Monica Seles has never won and now seats for the first time since 1992. The silver plate that Spaniard Conchita Martinez hoisted aloft in 1994. That particular silver plate is a knife in the heart to Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, whose career may not feel complete until she finally matches her countrywoman. And for all you fans of Yana Novotná, don't cry, don't shed a single tear. The Czech star is back, anxious to choke off painful memories to seek her own royal moment.
Yesterday, moments ago, Steffi Graf walking onto center court to warm up with her opponent, Ludmila Richterova of the Czech Republic. Graf in search of a 7th Wimbledon singles crown, a 20th Grand Slam championship overall. And hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. Today it's my privilege to be working here in our green octopus of an unannounced booth with Martina Navratilova, 9-time Wimbledon singles champion. Martina, before we move to the subject of Steffi Graf, your reflections on the demise of Andre Agassi yesterday.
Well, he played a tough opponent. Doug Flack is a good player. I've seen him playing in team tennis last year, so I knew he could give him trouble. But Andre Agassi in top form still beats Doug Flack at his best in 3 sets.
I would hope so. Flack is ranked 281st in the world.
He played better than his ranking yesterday, but Andre's just not committed to tennis. I don't see the fire in him. He looked not disinterested, but sort of out of it, you know, emotionally out of it. And I think he has not been putting in the time into his tennis on the court and off the court. He needed more match play. After he got out at the French Open, he should have come here and played some more matches on grass. His preparation for the tournament is just not good enough. You need to put in the time on grass. It worked one time when he played on the hard course and he won here 4 years ago. But 5 years, was it 91? You can't do that. Just because it worked one doesn't mean it's going to work every time. You got to change it, and he has not changed with the times.
After his loss, Andre Agassi told British media that he had acquired a bronchial virus last week and had to fight that off. Thought it might have slowed him down just a little bit. That takes us to the subject of Steffi Graf, who arrives, of course, having skipped her normal preliminary warm-up at Eastbourne because of a knee injury that she acquired supposedly in an exhibition down there. Of course, she's been nagged by the bad back, or so she says, for the past couple of years. How big a factor do you think those injuries are going to be in her bid for another title?
Not much. I think Steffi Graf could run in the quarter mile in the Olympics. She's a great athlete. She runs really well. And the way she's been bouncing around already, I don't think the knees are going to bother her. She just needs an excuse ahead of time, just in case. She's been doing it year in, year out. If you read the newspapers, you think Steffi Graf should be in the hospital. If you look at her, she's running like a gazelle. So I think she'll be fine.
Good line. Martina's first big zinger of the day. Many more to come in our 6 scheduled hours of live coverage. Let's see some of the live matches that you'll be watching throughout the course of these next 6 hours. On court number 13, Melanie Schnell, second hardest server this year in women's tennis, against 8-seeded Lindsay Davenport of the United States. They've never met before. On court 2, where 2 of the big upsets took place yesterday, Yana Kandar against 9th-seeded Mary Jo Fernandez of the United States. Fernandez had a spectacular week at Eastbourne last week before being scorched in the final by Monica Seles. They've never played either. Court number 1, and this is the multi-syllabic name match of the day. Adriana Serra-Zanetti against Arantxa Sanchez Vicario. They've never played before, and there are a lot of television commentators who are hoping they never play again. And court number 1 also, Veronika Martinez of Germany against Yana Novotná of the Czech Republic. Novotná has won their 1 previous meeting. Then on center court, as we told you, play begins with Steffi Graf against Ludmila Richterova. Graf, with 19 Grand Slam championships, is tied with Helen Wills Moody, the record 24, held by Margaret Court Smith. After that, Evgeny Kafelnikov, coming off his triumph at the French Open, opens against British Davis Cupper Tim Henman. Kafelnikov has won their only previous meeting. John Lloyd believes Henman may have a shot against Evgeny today, and that'll be followed by 10th-seeded Michael Stich, finalist at the French, against Kafelnikov, against Shen Schalken of the Netherlands. They've played only once before, and Stich won that one. You ready to go to center court and take a look at Steffi?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Let's go. And as we arrive, find that Richterova has held serve in her first service game. So it's 1-love Richterova. Graf serving from the far end.
Good long point. That'll get the blood going. If there were any nerves, I think they're gone now because Richterova's heart is pounding. She's at about 180 right now.
40 seconds. Game is Graf.
So Graf comes from 15-30 to hold serve in her first service game and get it to 1-1.
One game all first set.
Garcia playing in only her second Grand Slam event ever, 3-1 and deuce. Leon Garcia serving. And even though Anke Huber is a year younger than this woman at 21 years old, this is her 25th major. So she's much more comfortable in this position. And she's more aggressive, Billie Jean, than her opponent.
Well, Garcia being the lefty, we don't have too many left-handed women.
Break point for Anke Huber for a 4-1 lead. Big return, and there is another break for the number 5 seed from Germany. Looks pretty comfortable. We'll be back to this match a little bit later. Back to you, Jim.
The frustrating thing against Seles and Graf, you hit a deep volley, they still whip it by you.
Double match point.
Nope.
Richterova stays alive, and because I so badly botched Richterova's name on that one instance in the middle of the first set, Martina, I feel that I should now be sent out to cover the Serra-Zanetti versus Sanchez Vicario match.
Game set now, Smith Graf. 2 sets to love. 6-4, 6-1.
Steffi Graf polishing off Ludmila Richterova on center court. Match takes 50 minutes even, as Graf more or less duplicates Monica Seles's opening round performance on center court yesterday. No particular advantage either way, and for those of you who are looking for the injury implications in her bad back and bad knee, Graf looked physically sound and played as though she wasn't hurting at all. And in the second round, she'll play the winner of the match between Baldoni and Husarova. Now let's go back to court 14. Mary Carrillo, Billie Jean King.
This one's almost over, Jim. Anke Huber continues to dominate this first round match with Gala Leon Garcia. Now 5-love. Garcia serving.
Look, it's amazing how much wear and tear the baseline has already had on this court. If you look at the bottom of your screen there, and this is only the second day, remember, of the championship, 1996. So. Garcia likes to talk to herself.
30-love. She'd like to at least get a game in sets of 2.
She's actually played some very good points. You can just tell that she's green. That she doesn't have the experience yet. See, Anke's in a rush to get this over with. Pointing to her brain cells there.
Bunch of errors. Helps Gala Garcia get a game. It's nice to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it is good. Because
she knows she's not going to win this thing. But
yeah, so have fun and learn from it, and know that you've got to get out there and play a lot of tournaments, which she does. It's good, though. She responds well to the crowd. That's another thing you have to look for in a player that's inexperienced. How do they perform when there's crowds? Do they like being on show court? Do they like playing against the top players? And do they beat the players around their own level? Wow, she came over that backhand, hit flat. Usually slices it, Garcia, the lefty. Of course, here's Huber serving for the match, and she seems to be rushing, Mary. Huber ducks her head.
Doesn't she? I just saw that myself.
Yeah, remember your head's very heavy, part of your body. In fact, I think it's the heaviest. So keep your head up. That's loose. She knows she's out of here.
Yep. Anke Huber had a wonderful Virginia end of the year WTA Tour Championships, a 5-setter against Steffi Graf in the final, which she lost, and then she got herself a month later to the Australian Open final before losing that one to Monica Seles. Nicely done. So she can challenge the very top. She's beaten a lot of the top players.
Oh, she does. To be number one, talking about a different level, but of course that's number one kind of forehand.
30-15.
Anke's had a difficult time because being in the shadows of Steffi Graf, and I think everybody said, oh, you're going to be the next Steffi Graf, and I think she actually believed it, instead of staying within herself. You know, maybe she would, maybe she wouldn't, but you really have to stay within yourself and be your own person. And
she bought into the hype.
Right, and you really have to be careful.
Now a couple of match points for the number 5 seed.
Well, there's one reason she's not number one, Mary, is her serve. She really ducks her head.
All over. A simple task for Anke Huber to get past Gala Garcia, 1-1. And she will now face the winner between Annabelle Elwood, a qualifier, and Pam Shriver, playing in her final Wimbledon. They gave her a wild card here. Now let's go over to Court 1, where last year's finalist, Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, has her first meeting ever with Adriana Serra-Zanetti of Italy. Ready?
Court 13 on the far side of this complex. That will go long.
Habsudova's had great results this year on clay, and actually on hard courts too. Has beaten some top players, gotten to semifinals and finals of some big tournaments, but this is grass, and Weisner is the old veteran, and she's already up 5-love set point.
That will go long. And so Judith Weisner out here on court 13, an easy first set. 6-love over Habsudova. Let's go back to Billie Jean and Mary. That match point. Karina Habsudova, the bottom of your picture now, in big trouble out here on court 13. And Martina, this has been all Weisner so far.
Weisner's the old wily veteran on grass, and she's putting it to Habsudova.
There it is, Habsudova missing with the two-hander, very disappointed. And so Judith Weisner, the veteran, wins it in straight sets out here on court 13. She moves into the second round. She awaits the winner of Marianne Werdell-Whitmire and Mercedes Paz from Argentina. Back to you, Jim. What's happening on center court?
Fascinating.
The mid-court return, she should have been in on that right away. It's like, go. Anything around that service line, go forward. Force the issue, make them pass you or go over you, or through you, whatever the case may be.
Okay, set, match. With Sanchez Vicario, she wins 2 sets.
Pretty comfortable.
6-3.
Against a pretty feisty player, Serra-Zanetti. Sanchez Vicario advances in straights. Here's who she next meets. From the Netherlands, Miriam Orman. Pretty good player, ranked 36 in the world. But it looks like pretty smooth sailing for a couple of rounds. Now let's go back to center court. Jim Lampley's there.
All right, thanks a lot, Marion.
Grow much. She's pretty short. Not very strong, but boy, is she smooth. Both of these players look very nonchalant hitting the ball. Farina-Elia, a Czech Canadian.
Drop shot. Yes.
Didn't look pretty, but she got there. She's a big girl, Farina-Elia. A little heavy. A big boned gal. She just gets to that ball. Scoops the racket there. But both of these players look like they're just up there for a Sunday knockup.
This young lady kind of a Lindsay Davenport look-alike.
A little bit. Look at her. She just sort of throws the ball in there. Watch her particularly on the forehand. It cracks me up. She looks like she's not even hitting and playing a match.
No call. Solid two-hander deep to the backhand side.
30 love.
And so now Niedli, 30 love.
Farina-Elia, Czech, living in Canada. Martina Hingis, a Czech living in Switzerland. There are a bunch of ex-Czechs here, and an ex-Czech talking about him.
30-15.
Followed you out of Czechoslovakia, Martina, but you had some good times back there. We've been talking about that.
Sure did.
30-15. Martina Hingis. There's that forehand you mentioned, Martina.
Yeah, Niedli's left hand looks like it's just sort of paralyzed. It's like just sort of hanging by her left side. She doesn't point at the ball. She doesn't use it to give her momentum to hit the shot. Peculiar.
Serve is casual, too. That ball's going to go wide.
30-40.
And she casually gets herself down at match point.
Now Martina Hingis with a chance out here. Court 14 to close this out.
Net pressure.
Martina Hingis is a really good all-around player. She can do it all. She can come to the net, stay back, serve and volley. Good return.
That goes wide, and so Martina Hingis finally closes it out in straight sets. The number 16 seed, 6-2 and 6-2. And so Martinez moves into the second round. She'll take on a couple of wild cards there in the second round. Hingis playing very well on court 14. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Barry, thanks very much. We want.
And she is on a breeze, Martinez. 6-love, leading 5-love in the second set.
I don't know. That was a loose error there. Mary Jo's feeling the pressure. I don't know if she can keep her composure at 6-love, 5-love. You know, a lot of pressure on her right now. Let's see how she can cope.
Mary Jo taking on Jana Kandar from Germany, ranked 97th in the world. Just wide.
No, that was wide. What are you looking at?
This is Jana Kandar right here. Not happy with that call.
Well, she needs to maybe go to the optometrist and get a pair of glasses because that ball was way out.
15 all.
30-50.
Forehand return goes long.
Yeah, we saw Kandar here last year. Lost, I can't remember who she lost. It was like 6-love, 6-4, and she put on a pretty good show, and I thought she would improve. She doesn't seem to have gotten much better since then.
Just wide. Mary Jo missing with the forehand. Mary Jo seated 9th. Currently ranked 8th in the world. As we've already mentioned, Yana Kondor, only 97th. Going to go long.
Well, it's like Billie Jean was talking earlier about Arantxa Sanchez Vicario trying to come in more and be more aggressive in the early going. This would have been perfect time for Mary Jo to come in. 6-love, 5-love, obviously no pressure, and she's just hanging back and ended up losing the point, even though she was in control.
Martina, you think Mary Jo has kind of reached a plateau in her career?
Well, she's sort of playing, if she keeps playing the same way, she will have reached a plateau because she does need a weapon, and I think the weapon can be her coming in more, being more aggressive. She's got good hands, she's got good volleys. Technically, she's very sound. She just needs to be more aggressive with her body position.
She gets a lot of floating balls with those big ground strokes.
And she's just not taking the position on the court enough to be in a more aggressive position and come in. That is the next step for her.
The lob will be good.
If she doesn't change her game, it will be a plateau because she's got no place to go right now.
And so Mary Jo Fernandez again here at match point. Court 2. No, again, the forehand over the baseline, having trouble closing it out. As Billie Jean says, Martina, the close, always the toughest.
It is. Even if you're serving for the match at 6-love, 5-love, serving for the match is the most pressure you will feel in a match. That's when you get the yip.
For all our golf fans out there that like to take those little short swings on the one-footers, tough to close them out when you're serving. I used to like to break on that last game if you could.
So you don't have to serve for it.
Exactly. So once again, Yana Kondor in trouble now. Down another match point. We'll see if Mary Jo can close this one out. That will go wide, and so finally, on her third attempt, Mary Jo Fernandez bagels Kondor, but she had trouble closing there, Martina.
Well, I'm really surprised she wasn't coming in more. She needs to serve and volley more if she wants to have a chance to get far in this tournament.
And so Mary Jo into the second round. She'll take on Sandra Testu from France. And so that's the story from court 2. Let's head back for center court. Some real live action there. Big drama, Jim.
The more you can keep your service motion simple, the better. So stay put. Now you're supposed to move your upper body, not your front foot. And certainly not adjust to the toss.
Yeah.
You know, she's like adjusting to see where the ball is, and then she steps over there.
And she is close to that baseline. Wow. Luckily stepped sideways. And Schnell stays alive.
There's a match point. You know, she's 19 years old. She's young on the tour. She's got plenty of time to improve. The basic game is very, very good. I'm impressed with her.
I agree.
She could go a long way.
This is what's great about day 2 in the early days of Wimbledon. Here's a young star on the rise, Melanie Schnell. Martina called it. Keep your eye on this lady. If she doesn't win, she'll be back. Davenport, deep forehand.
Heavy ball. This is a really heavy ball, like I was saying earlier. She doesn't swing much, but the ball really comes through the air, and she gets very good depth. And that's what separates the top players from the rest of the field. They hit much deeper, and then they get on the offensive, and then you're just running back and forth, and you're dead.
Once again, Davenport here on court 13, match point. Second serve. No. And Melanie ends up with a double fault, and so the number 8 seed, Lindsay Davenport, moves ahead 6-4 and 6-1 out here on court 13. And so Lindsay into the second round. She'll take on Larissa Neeland. Lindsay Davenport, the number 8 seed, moves ahead.
Wimbledon.
In that round. And then, of course, the Titanic 5-set roller coaster match on center court between Graf was on center court against Ludmila Richterova of the Czech Republic. Richterova, who lives here in London, put up a terrific battle in the first set and showed some skills in her newly reconstructed game, but predictably enough, Graf ultimately overpowered her 6-4, 6-1, advances to the second round where she'll take on Nathalie Baudon of France. And immediately after completing that victory and then speaking to media, Steffi Graf did a highly laudable thing, which we are thrilled to tell you about. She spent time signing autographs for children and otherwise assisting in the efforts of Andrea Jaeger, the former American tennis star, who has a setup in Aspen called Silver Lining Ranch. It's a ranch which is designed to provide some happy moments for terminally ill children. And here you see Graf signing balls and spending time with some of the children whom Andrea has brought here to London. The smile on Steffi's face tells you everything you need to know about the thrill that she gets from a moment like that with Andrea Jaeger's kids from the Silver Lining Ranch in Aspen, Colorado. So that's what's taken place around the grounds today, along with lots of other action. Now let's go back to
serve. Great volley off the backhand. And so Yana Novotná looking very relaxed, Martina.
She relaxed in the second set, played a lot better, and she's going to be a contender. She is a contender.
And so Novotná, a straight set winner out here on court number 1. She moves into the second round. She'll take on Laurence Courtois from France. Should be a tougher match for her, and she moves into that second round. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Barry McKay, an overhead look at the All England Club as we prepare now to leave the air and get you ready for 6 more hours of live match coverage tomorrow. An hour of highlights coming up tonight, hosted by Mary Carrillo. The traditional Ladies' Day here at Wimbledon, and the drama largely stolen by those pesky men as the result of the 5-set drama on center court, about which we'll be speaking more with John Lloyd in just a moment. Quickly, a look at scores from around the All England Club today. Number 1 seeded Steffi Graf fulfilling her traditional role as defending women's champion on center court, opened play with a 6-4, 6-1 win over Ludmila Richterova of the Czech Republic. Arantxa Sanchez Vicario with a straight set win over Adriana Serra-Zanetti of Italy. Anke Huber, 5th seeded woman, defeated Gala Garcia and moves on of Spain and moves on after a 6-1, 6-1 win. Lindsay Davenport, 8th seeded from the United States, 6-4, 6-1 over Melanie Schnell of Austria. Mary Jo Fernandez knocks out Jana Kandar of Germany. Brilliant performance, love for Fernandez. Brenda Schultz-McCarthy, hardest server in women's tennis, defeated Jeanette Kruger of South Africa, 6-love, 6-3. Martina Hingis of Switzerland, the stylish youngster, many see as the next great woman star, defeated Jana Niedli. I got it, 6-2, 6-2. And she moves on to the next.
Back in 1966, Billie Jean Moffitt King began to carve her name into Wimbledon history with the first of her 6 singles titles. But that year, tennis took a backseat to soccer in England as the English rocked the planet by defeating Germany to win the World Cup. In the 1990 World Cup, England lost to Germany in the semifinal round. But last Saturday, in the 1996 European Championships, this save in a shootout against Spain propelled host England into a semifinal match tonight against Germany. A win 10 miles up the road at Wembley Stadium would be the mother country's biggest in 30 years. It would also leave Boris Becker free to concentrate on tennis instead of gathering Wimbledon tickets for his country's football players. It would also mean 4 more days without tabloid newspaper pressure for tennis diva Monica Seles. What it would mean to Arantxa Sanchez Vicario isn't clear, but she's playing on center court today, so there's a look. Now back to the center of the drama. Tim Henman takes on his countryman Danny Sapsford this afternoon. He has no intention of being upstaged by a bunch of bloody soccer players.
Seeing today on court 13, Mary Jo Fernandez of the United States, seeded 9th, playing very well on grass right now, has beaten Sandrine Testude of France 2 out of their 3 previous meetings, and she faces her again today. As we've told you, Todd Martin, seeded 13th, and maybe with a quiet chance to go all the way to the semis now, faces his countryman Jim Grab, the former Stanford star, won the only previous meeting between those two. And also on court number 1, you've got Katerina Studenikova of the Czech Republic against second-seeded Monica Seles. Seles leads that series 1-love. Then it's another star performance for young Henman. At 21 years old, he goes against his countryman and British veteran Danny Sapsford. Henman has won their only previous meeting. On center court today, we open with second-seeded Boris Becker playing Tomas Carbonell of Spain. And head-to-head, Becker has beaten Carbonell the only time they played. It was several years ago. Then the resumption of a match that was suspended late last evening. Michael Stiesch, having split the first 2 sets with Shen Schalken of the Netherlands, Stiesch up a break in the third. He's won their only previous match. And finally on center court, it's Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, the 4th-seeded woman, against Miriam Oremans of the Netherlands. Sanchez Vicario has won the only 2 previous matches between those two. Lots of other action to choose from as the day goes on in our 6th.
And you always have to take that into consideration when you're playing against her. And it's hard, though, because your first inclination is to just, you know, I'm going to smack this. But when you smack it, the ball goes so slowly. The player has a chance to recover and make it. Smart play. Especially with that grip. Short to the forehand, she's going to have trouble. What happens? She pops it up. Watch how this grip, watch that grip. Oh, so she barely. She did change her grip a little there. That was good. Didn't make it, though. It's uncomfortable for Anke. Goodbye. She's right in the zone. If you're going to serve her forehand, especially in that court, you've got to keep the ball low and keep it going away from Huber, and she's not doing that. She's hitting right, you know, hard and flat, and the ball's bouncing high.
See how short that ball was? It had a lot of angle on it. If you don't get it out wide, you're a sitting duck, but she got a great location on that serve. Actually, it's good to slow the ball down when you're serving out wide to let the spin get away from the returner. Give it a chance to tail away.
Now 30-all.
See, I call that the power zone where that serve went. I mean power for the person who's returning. About 2 feet from the sidelines of the serve. And hard and flat. It's like goodbye, especially with these great ground servers. You've got to be very careful. Make sure you hit a lot of body serves. Keep them guessing. Change pace. Change the spin. Hard mental work.
She's probably trying to do that. It's just not happening.
Right.
She loves that cross court. It's such a temptation to always go for the line. You know, the down the middle approach is a good idea. But she's on the run. She had a good shot, but again, not enough pace, and Huber can get around it and hit her favorite shot, which is a hook or cross-court backhand.
Match point for Anke Huber.
A beeper went off, but inadvertent beep from the machine. Oh, yeah.
Game, Steffi, nothing how you want to go after.
I'll never forget that one.
I have never seen her hit a serve like that. Never, ever. And I've seen her play a lot of matches. She would like that serve back.
What a memory.
Yeah.
Oh. She's going to have to come back now.
Yeah, just to clean up everyone's memory of her final shot. Her mom decided to come because Pam said, look, this could be the last time I show. Come on over.
6-2, 6-1.
Oh, Pam cannot believe that last serve.
One thing Pam has is a good sense of humor.
In the interest of security, may I remind you to take all property
So
with
Anke
you
Huber threw
when
easily
leaving your seats or
over
viewing
Pam
positions.
Shriver.
Please do not leave property unattended at any time. Thank you.
And what was it like? I know both of you had some memorable moments leading center court for the last time.
Well, I knew it was going to be my last time for singles. Billie Jean, did you know that was your last singles time on
I
center
know.
court?
What I did after I curtsied, obviously, and got to the corner, right before they turned the corner, there's Mama Shriver. I turned around and looked at the crowd. I just had to have one last peek, right about there.
And with that, we want to send our best wishes to Pam Shriver's sister, Marianne, who is battling cancer. And I'm sure Pam was thinking about that, too, as she was walking off the court.
Anke Huber will next meet the winner between Helena Sukova, who's also a veteran at age 31, and A. Sugiyama. Now let's go back to Jim Lampley.
All right, Jim. Court 13, Mary Jo on the far side now. A great shot of this court 13. About 10 deep on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, you see, John, that probably holds a couple thousand people out here. They've had stands out here for the last 10, 15 years on court 13.
Yeah, it's a nice court out there. The surface is pretty newer out there, one of the newer courts, but really firm. I've practiced on it a few times myself, and it's a lovely court.
Mary Jo to serve now for the first set, leading 5-4, taking lots of extra time. Wonder where our friend Sally is seated. He usually picks a pretty good spot where he can have some eye contact with his player.
And that's one of the longest coaching relationships out on the tour. Mary Jo Flanders and Harold Solomon. They've been together a few years now.
Both from Florida. Boy, talk about long rallies. If they go out to practice, they'd be out there for a long time. 15 love now. Mary Jo 3 points away. Trying to wrap up the first serve here. Testu inside the baseline. She pulls it wide, the two-hander. So now Mary Jo, 30 love. How's your French, John?
Not too good.
No. Testu going for a big second serve, double faults. And so now triple break point and triple set point for the number 9 seed. I beg your pardon, it was 40 love, Mary Jo there. She double faulted. So now we are at set point, 40-15. That's going to be too good. And so Mary Jo, a solid forehand deep to win the first set. We will keep an eye on this match. She crosses over. The number 9 seed trying to close this match out in straight sets. Maybe the toughest game of any match, huh, John? Trying to close it out on your own serve? Won't be long. 15 love. Fernandez 3 points away. fault. There's always a tendency, don't you, John, at a 5-4 game when you're serving, just to rush it just a little bit.
And you want to be in the locker room, and you sometimes just don't think enough. Take your time.
And is in. Fairly simple overhead, short lob. So Mary Jo now 2 points away. That will go wide. Again, Testu not happy with the call. But we have arrived out here at double match point for Mary Jo Fernandez, the number 9 seed, trying to get into the third round. Off the top of the racket. And so Mary Jo Fernandez on court 13, a straight set winner. She moves into the third round. She will take on Florencia Labant from Argentina. Mary Jo Fernandez, the number 9 seed, out into the third round. What a match that was. A little tough for her, but she finally gets through. Now set. This is Amanda Kutzer. Seeded 14th and in trouble, John.
Love 15.
Love 15. And now McGrath 3 points away from an upset out here on court 2. Famous court 2 producing yet another possible upset. No.
Love 30.
It's an upset in terms of ranking, but again, one of those matches where a lot of the players would think there could be an upset on the cards here. Meredith McGrath's got a very good grass court record.
And the only time they've met, she won. Graf going for it all on that forehand return. No. And Kutzer tries for a big second serve, double fault. And so now, double match point for McGrath. Kutzer saves one. Big chance here. No. And Amanda Kutzer on court 2. A big smile from Meredith McGrath. She upsets the number 14 seed, Amanda Kutzer. And so Meredith McGrath into the third round. She'll be going against Nancy Faber of Belgium. And so Meredith McGrath, an excellent match out there on court number 2. I'll tell you, even though, as you said, John, the 14th seed, she certainly played extremely well. Let's head back now. Live action on center court. Mary?
Thanks.
On Jolene Watanabe from Los Angeles. Brenda Schultz-McCarthy serving now. 5-love with a set. Again, this was earlier on court 3. Match point for the big hitter. Absolutely packed again. The field courts, the outer courts today, jammed with people. Over 30,000 on the grounds. And Schultz-McCarthy out wide. She serves the ace to end it very appropriately. And so Brenda Schultz-McCarthy, the number 11 seed, moves into the third round with a win on court 3. She'll take on Sabine Appelmans from Belgium in that third round. Big hitter Schultz-McCarthy moves ahead. Speaking of big hitters, let's go back to that center court. For Garcia trying to serve out this match. Garcia at the bottom of your picture. Spirlea at the top. Actually serving to try and get even at 5-all. Let first serve. Garcia, this is Spirlea from Bucharest, Romania. She has been struggling all afternoon out here, John, and Garcia, a very good athlete, at the bottom of your picture. Spirlea broken 4 times.
No 15.
She really hasn't looked comfortable today out on the grass. Struggling with that serve, and her footwork has been a bit shaky.
Yes, Garcia, a youngster only 19 years old from Cordoba, Argentina. It's good. Garcia now 2 points away. From Bucharest, Romania, where our old friend Dilly Nastasi just tried to get elected mayor but didn't quite make it.
I thought he'd become the mayor. I thought he was going to be in for sure. Can you imagine Dilly Nastasi as mayor of Bucharest?
It's a little scary. Second serve now. Garcia, look at this, way inside that baseline. No, Spirlea hits wide off the backhand, and so now love 40. Triple break point for Garcia. And triple match point. Second serve. That is finally a solid forehand from Spirlea.
15-14.
It's almost like she has to be under pressure, John, to hit those big shots. She was then. Still match point, the number 15 seed, struggling. And there it is. Ines Garcia, the 19-year-old from Cordoba, Argentina, upsets the number 15 seed on court 14. Let's have a look at the draw now. She will take on Amy Fraser of Rochester Hills, Michigan. And so Garcia, a solid match out there into the third round. A beautiful day here at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Look at that center court. It is packed. Let's head back there now. Mary?
Thanks a lot, Barry.
Back in, slicing it. This time, a big surprise, she flattened it out, which gave her more velocity on the ball. And Monica could not recover.
Triple set point against. You think we would have seen that? Triple set point against Seles?
This Wimbledon, I wouldn't know. No predictions. That's what Seles has to keep doing. Keep hitting through the ball. Keep going forward. Get up to the ball. On grass, you really have to keep forcing yourself to get up to the ball so you're at your point of contact, the ball's high enough. You want to catch it at its height. A little tentative on that one.
So Seles commandingly retrieves triple set point against. And now once again, the objective is to hold serve and get into a first set tiebreak. Advantage Seles. Chance to get to 6-6.
That's a lucky break for Seles.
Another big forehand for Studenikova.
I can't believe the poise. This is kind of like out for a little Sunday afternoon, little tennis, a little tea.
Nothing to lose.
Again, up the middle. Tries to stay a little bit to Monica's forehand side, giving her no pace and no angle.
And the fourth opportunity for Katerina Studenikova to take the first set from Monica Seles.
Oh, pressure. Whoa, my stomach's in a knot.
Crowd erupts in surprise. Katerina Studenikova has taken the first set on court one from Monica Seles.
The quest for the most prestigious title in tennis.
Year-old Pam Shriver of the United States. Shriver in the tournament on a wild card, which she requested and got from the All England Club because of her love for this tournament. Had some fun on center court, but had nowhere near enough artillery to compete with Huber, whose ground strokes and occasional serve and volleys put Shriver away easily. Huber winning over Pam 6-2, 6-1. She goes on to the third round to play Ai Sugiyama. And how about Michael Stich?
Figure out where to hit the ball.
On the first day of the tournament.
Amazing. But Doug Flack came back and won again. That's what's amazing.
Against Jared Palmer, who's a pretty doggone good player.
You know, usually you lose that after you have a huge win. That's the tough man.
So you tell me, what's happening in this tournament?
I don't know. You think we all ate something funny before we came in here? I don't know.
No, we're here eating what the English euphemistically call food, Billie Jean.
Oh, there's Parole. Mr. Seles, he was Monica's coach. He's a wonderful father. He's very nice to all of the players. He always comes up and congratulates the other player if they win, or he's very nice to Monica if she wins or loses. He's a good guy.
All the pressure on Monica Seles now as she serves to stay in the match.
Good enough serve. And getting the first one in is very important here. Monica didn't get to that ball well at all. You see how her racket wasn't organized? I don't know if she misread the bounce or what.
Could she be tired?
Oh, I think she's tired. Katerina has gotten so many balls back. And I think Monica's gotten very frustrated, not really sure what to do. And that is the worst feeling when you're in a match.
Would this be a bigger upset? If it happens, would it be a bigger upset than Lori McNeil beating Steffi Graf on opening day 2 years ago?
I think so. Definitely.
Well, it could happen.
15-13.
Monica just can't sustain the rallies as well. Too many unforced errors.
What a show of composure by Studenikova.
Well, that's what's wonderful to see.
Second serve. Watch out for that rocket forehand.
And Katerina.
How frightening do you think it is for Katerina Studeníková of Slovakia to have double match point against Monica Seles?
This is a time in your life you just have to really isolate and just play the ball. And it's so difficult to do. Let's see what happens.
Wimbledon 96. Mass grave for champions.
2 sets to 1. 7-5, 5-7, 6-4.
And somewhere, Steffi Graf is watching and saying, I don't believe it. Well, yesterday you saw the biggest moment of Tim Henman's life, and today you've seen the biggest moment of Katerina Studeníkova's life. In the next round, Katerina Studeníková will be playing Dominique van Roost of Belgium. She knows her. She's beaten her twice already this year.
We remind you to take all property with you when leaving your seats or viewing positions.
What do you say?
What can you say? I just think there were so many variables today, and it's just amazing. The test was, could Monica stay in it physically, I think, and could Katerina stay in it emotionally and mentally? Because it was very obvious that Katerina was in better physical shape. But what I really admired is how she stayed in there no matter what the score was, and she played the perfect match for her. I mean, she's only ranked number 59th in the world. I mean, you have to take your hat off to her because she stayed in there, because that's the time most players will fold. I mean, Monica, you know, she's a good sport. I think she's going to have to reassess what's going on in her life. I know she's possibly could be a Federation Cup player going to Japan after Wimbledon. I don't know what's going to happen. And, of course, if her thinking about her shoulder, getting an operated on, we don't know. But the day belongs to Katerina, and she's earned it. And but it really has opened up that bottom half again.
Well, let's talk about Seles and her situation for a second. Now, it certainly appeared early in the match as though the injured shoulder bothered her on her serve. She seems to have made a decision to try to postpone the surgery and go through the rest of the year. Obviously, it's important to her, coming off of her experience in the past 3 years, to try to keep playing. But might it not be better at this point to take time off, go ahead and get the surgery, begin to reconstruct once again?
It's a very difficult decision for Monica. I probably would agree with you. I think it's better to just go get it taken care of now, because if that keeps niggling at her, then it's going to keep putting it off. She needs to get 100% emotionally, mentally, and physically, and then come back and play tennis. And make, you know, it takes a good year to come back. I mean, you've got to give yourself a complete year.
Well, I don't want to overstate this, but Monday was one of the most incredible days we've ever had here. Yesterday was another astonishing day, and what you've seen today almost defies belief. We got 7 days to go. All the rest of this week, and 5 days next week, so stick with us.
It wasn't supposed to be like this. Monica Seles, competing at Wimbledon for the first time since before her tragic stabbing, was planning a proud return, maybe even a rematch of the 1992 final against Steffi Graf.
Advantage with Studeníková.
But even the best laid plans go haywire. Yesterday, Monica Seles and the rest of the world were introduced to a Slovak woman, Katerina Studeníková, ranked number 59 in the world.
Game, set, match with Studeníková.
For Monica Seles, Wimbledon 96 ended all too quickly. Roger Bannister did something that no one had thought could ever be done. When at Ipley Road track in nearby Oxford, England, he became the first ever to break the 4-minute barrier in a mile race. That same year at Wimbledon, there was a memorable upset in the men's singles final when Australian Ken Rosewall was defeated by the self-exiled Czech star Jaroslav Drobny.
Never been a scene
Quite like this, I don't think, on the center court.
This week at the All England Club, upsets have become the norm. Starting Monday, when it was red, white, and black, black, black. Michael Chang, see ya. Jim Courier, later. And Andre Agassi, hasta la vista, baby. Tuesday, Russian Yevgeny Kafelnikov was erased. And yesterday, Monica Seles said exit, stage left. Now on day 4, will Pete Sampras have to say sayonara? Must Stefan Edberg ready himself to wave goodbye forever? Or is Steffi Graf staring at her last match ever on the old Court 1?
Court number 2 already has produced so many upsets in the tournament. 8th-seeded Lindsay Davenport of the USA against the veteran Larisa Savchenko-Nieland of Latvia. Good luck, Lindsay. You could be in for a tough one. Also in court number 2, Goran Ivanisevic takes his 4th seed and puts it on the line against Pierre Boutet of France, a qualifier. They've never met before, and this could be a revelation for Boutet. On court number 1, Tim Henman finishes the match that he started yesterday with Danny Sapsford after the long Seles match. Henman took the first set 6-1. They're louted up 5-5 in the second. A couple of Englishmen going head-to-head against each other there. Steffi Graf on court 1 today against Natalie Baldoni of Italy. They've met once before, and Graf won that one. And then Sweden's past against Sweden's future. Stefan Edberg, the veteran, seeded 12th against his countryman Michael Tillström, Sweden's hope for the future, and they have never played before. Center court action begins, as we told you, with Sampras against Philippoussis. Rockets and grenades from baseline to baseline. They've met twice. Philippoussis won at the Australian Open. Then 10th-seeded Michael Stich with a very tough opponent, Shuso Matsuoka of Japan, who made it to the quarterfinals last year, is a legitimate grass court player. Stich has beaten Matsuoka twice, but today on grass could well be a different story. Let's go directly to center court now and give you
full match point.
It is indeed here, as Nieland now with a chance to pull yet another upset. Court 2, and there it is. A solid serve down the middle, flat serve. And Larisa Nieland out here on court 2. Another upset, straight set win over Lindsay Davenport. Nieland out into the 3rd round. She'll take on the winner of that match, Martina.
Katrina Adams and Elena Lisovtseva. Could be either one. Nieland's got a nice draw now.
Is now leading 5-1 in the 2nd set.
I've watched Hingis practice with her mother a few times, and she has a very peculiar practice sessions. Normally people just hit from the baseline, you know, down the line cross court, and she hits the balls from anywhere in the court. She'll be standing between the service line and the baseline on purpose and have to hit half volleys back, and that's why she's so good at it when it happens during a match.
No, that goes long. Rachel's father played for the famous 1958 Manchester United team. Football and soccer very at the top of the headlines over here the last few days, although after last night it might fade a little bit.
It has faded today. The atmosphere totally changed out here. When I first got out here, you could just tell that people were devastated with that loss last night. England lost to Germany.
Second serve, Hingis in, gets past. Does Hingis serve and volley that often, Martina?
She'll do it a lot more than the other baseliners. I mean, she really is an all-around player. She'll mix it up on any surface.
Little bounce.
What do you think Martina Hingis has to do, Martina, like for the future, if you're going to help her? Like, she's 15 years old now, doing extremely well, but if she really wants to get in that top 1 or 2 spot, what would you tell her?
Work on the serve. I think her mother's been holding her back. She didn't want her to tax her shoulder too much, so she only works on the serve about 5 minutes a day. That was until last year, but she needs to improve that serve. I'd have her work on strength a little bit, get the upper body a little bit stronger, and maybe a little bit of quickness too. She's got very good footwork, good technique on the footwork, which is why she's so fast, but she could be a little quicker.
And so Martina Hingis An easy win out here on court number 3. Straight sets 6-1 and 6-1. She moves ahead into the third round. Now let's head back over to court 14, where Yana Novotná is at it. Court 14. We are in a tiebreak.
Courtois is playing.
6 games all. Novotná at the top of your picture, serving in the first point.
Another show court out here, number 14. People have a few seats.
Yes.
Yana knows she's in for a match. She's in a tiebreak. She really doesn't want to be in this situation. She covers the net very well here, gets back for the overhead, good angle. But she's been hitting to Courtois' backhand, and that's Courtois' better shot. These two have never played before. But they both live in Belgium, so you would think Yana would know her game a little bit better than that.
Courtois serving. She loves to come in. It was a great shot.
Courtois played great this match so far. She really has. She's been going in, taking the net away from Novotná. That's what happens when you have two net players playing against each other. And what a great backhand volley. Technique perfect.
Yeah.
Turn the shoulder, stay up, let the racket face do the work.
Nice athletic ability there. 1 point, all tiebreak now. First set out here on court 14. Novotná, the number 6 seed. Ooh. That's a great point.
Courtois had an open court there on the backhand volley. Instead, she chose to hit a lob volley here. I think she got a little too cute for her own good. And then she's in no man's land, having to hit half volleys. But Yana's covering the net very well. She doesn't like to hit the overhead, but she moves well to it, and usually still makes an offensive shot off it.
I thought that was a great get she got going back. Novotná, she was lucky to get a racket on it.
We are seeing 2 fine women athletes in this match. Both of them moving extremely well, hitting very difficult shots overhead. Half volley.
Oh, smart. Courtois. See, that's what happens when two net players play each other. They know how to play against the net player as well. A little bit of cat and mouse in this match.
And a little short ball like that, you're seeing that in doubles. Courtois, a very good doubles player, and you're used to seeing those kind of shots, so then you know what to do with the ball when you get into that situation.
No. Court 14, a little bit like court 2, a lot of activity around the court, people moving about, tough to concentrate. You can see them behind there. Yes. Did you say Novotná's overhead, Martina, one of the best in the game?
No, I don't think so. She moves well for it, but she has a tendency to miss it, too. She'd rather hit a high forehand volley. She'll either hit a winner or she'll miss it. She goes for it, but she's a bit sporadic with that shot. But she moves so well for it, she makes up for a lack of technique, perhaps.
That's long. So Laurence Courtois from Belgium stays very much in this tiebreak, 20 years old. And she has the look of a very confident player right now.
She's got a walk of an athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a jock. She's a good player. I'm surprised she hasn't done better in singles, but she's still pretty young on the tour. She's only been playing about 3 or 4 years, and she's got plenty of time to improve. But she's very good attitude, good shots, good athletic ability. Needs to improve the serve. There's a couple hitches on the serve. I would look at tapes of myself and other people that have a good serve and try to improve that serve. That's really what's holding her back at the moment.
She's not very tall either, so she's going to even have to be better.
Right. Hit that ball just at the right time. Slice approach.
Novotná helping herself with the fist.
Very emotional, Yana, to watch during a match.
Very. And you know, she's feeling showing us her feelings. Everyone's different in how they express themselves.
No.
I'm really surprised at how much Jana has played Courtois' backhand. That's her much better shot. Her forehand goes funny. You know, it's not as sound a shot technically, and she misses it a lot more. She's much more dangerous off the backhand, but Jana just keeps insisting on hitting to Courtois' backhand.
Maybe she hasn't noticed.
Yes, no call. Solid serve out wide from Novotna, and so Jana Novotna now the number 6 seed here on court 14. That's set point, 6-3 in the tiebreak. 1 point away from the first set. Big points. No.
6-4, Miss Novotna.
You can see Novotna change that grip to a severe backhand grip to go for it. But she was leaning backwards by the time she made point of contact.
Still set point for Novotna. Good serve. The volley catches the net. And so Jana Novotna wins the first set out here on 14. Back to you, Jim.
Awkward motion. She starts funny, she starts too fast, and she's got a hitch in there. Doesn't come through the ball with the racket. She needs to get tapes of people that have good serves and watch herself and really try to change that serve. It's a funny concoction. You'd have to really pick it apart. You can't just do one thing and fix it. There's a lot of things going on with that serve.
There is the match. Jana Novotna dispatches Laurence Courtois 7-6, 6-3, and advances to next play the Romanian, Ruxandra Dragomir. Now let's go back to court 1, where Steffi Graf.
Fortila.
Triple match point for Steffi Graf. Turn out the lights. Actually, turn on the lights. You can't see much anymore down here.
And that lady is warming up. Well, we got a smile on Steffi. Yay, match point.
I can't believe she missed that ball by that much.
Still going.
Yep.
That'll do it.
Game time match, Miss Graf. 2 sets to love. 7-5, 6-3.
I kind of like that match. But it's the first time we've noticed any kind of hesitation with Graf because of that left knee.
Well, hopefully that'll get fixed up so she can get herself back together and play the way she wants to play. That's the worst thing when you wonder whether your body will hold up or not. You know, then you can't concentrate on your game anymore. Good effort by Baudone.
Here's how Steffi Graf's draw shakes out now. She plays a lefty from New Jersey. Nice kid, Nicole Arantxa. Plays very differently than that last opponent, serve and volley.
The beauty of England.
Halfway through the second round and 6 men's seeds gone. Only 3 of the top 8 left. 5 ladies seeds beaten already, including, of course, Monica Seles. Wow! Wimbledon is upset city.
But, in fact, that is not as it appears. H.L. Mencken once said that we should never make the mistake of thinking that we can make a better soup with a rose than a cabbage just because a rose is prettier than a cabbage. The same way with seeds at Wimbledon.
Especially on the grass, there are a lot of clay court players who are seeded only because they have pretty like a rose records. But take a bite of them on a fast court, and we find out they never should have been put in the seeded soup. Upset of the seeds? Why, those seeded dynamos, Thomas Enqvist and Katerina Habsudova, have now lost 7 straight matches here. Amanda Kutzer is a perennial second-rounder, and that's the best that Jim Courier and Michael Chang did last year. The fans aren't fooled by all this caterwauling over seeded players losing. The overnight queue didn't exactly break up after Arno Butch was sent packing. In reality, only one genuine title contender has been eliminated. Nobody took Andre Agassi seriously in the shape that he was in, and Yevgeny Kafelnikov, injured and played out in Paris, was no better than a 50-to-1 shot. No, the only beaten seed who might still have been playing a week from now is Monica Seles. That was a genuine upset. The other beaten seeds only prove again that the seeding system for this unusual surface has little relationship to reality.
Welcome back. So, John, the All England Club gets caught in this quandary of constantly trying to figure out how to seed players who don't play much of the year, if at all, on grass. Do you seed Thomas Muster 7th, as the club did? Do you seed him 2nd? Should he not have been seeded at all, despite his world ranking? Where do you fall on this?
Well, I would have seeded Muster, but I think 7 was too high for him. I think someone who hasn't got any record at all on grass, I don't care whether he's the French champion or whatever, they should pick the surfaces, and if certain people are specialised in grass, then seed them that way. If players are specialised on clay, seed them for clay. I think it should work the reverse way for the French championships as well.
Well, we talked about how the seeds are a reflection of the fact that the players spend so little time on grass. Wimbledon now the only major grass court tournament in the world, as opposed to the situation just a couple of decades ago when 3 of the 4 major Grand Slam championships were played on grass. As recently as a couple of years ago, there was a discussion here, serious enough, about the question of whether Wimbledon should switch to hard courts. You put any credence in that?
Well, I must say, looking at the men's tennis the last few years, I would have been happy for Wimbledon to have changed from grass. I'm not a big fan of grass court tennis with the men's game anymore. The women, I love the grass, but the men, I think we have a lot fewer matches that are good quality these days, and I wouldn't mind if the grass is out of here.
You know, that's funny. 2 years ago, I agreed with you, and now, partially as a result of all the excitement of these upsets, I don't. I think that the men's game is becoming more entertaining as we get accustomed to how rapidly it moves and how short the points are.
Well, I mean, I think we saw some great examples like Henman, who served and stayed back, and we had some good matches with him and Kafelnikov. But really, when you look at it, there's so many matches where you just see the big serves, and I personally don't like that style of tennis.
Do you think it's conceivable that they ever would switch away from grass?
No. They're never going to change from grass at Wimbledon. That would, it would kill the members, the All England Club members. They would grass, that's England, but I think it would be better for the tournament if they did.
Rest assured, if Tim Henman ever wins the tournament, they'll be playing on grass well into the next 5 centuries.
You're right there.
All right, we're going to take you to another match, and we'll tell you in advance that you're going to be seeing this on tape. You've seen how dark the skies are out there, and you're going to be seeing sunshine on center court as we take you to Conchita Martinez against Lisa Raymond of the United States. Raymond serving at 3-4. Neeland of Latvia. Well, this was a tough assignment for Davenport. Neeland was in control of the match from the beginning. Excellent passing shots, mixing it up against Davenport. She overcame the big ground strokes of Lindsay Davenport, knocked out the 8th-seeded woman in the tournament, second biggest upset in the women's draw so far. Neeland goes to the 3rd round to play Likubtseva. I'm pretty good at that. And then we move to Tim Henman, the new British star.
Now, that was just not being alert. Made the first volley and was guilty of ball watching, didn't prepare for the next ball.
Martinez, after allowing Raymond to stay with her all the way through the second set, breaks her at love to finish a 7-5, 7-5 victory. Classic illustration of John Lloyd's point about Lisa Raymond not being able to play the big points well against good players. And in the next round, a fascinating match, as Conchita Martinez will have to take on the American veteran Lori McNeil, who is as savvy a grass court player as there is in the draw, and of course pulled the dramatic upset of Graf 2 years ago. Let's go over to court number 2 and check in on the 10th seeded woman, Magdalena Maleva of Bulgaria, youngest of the 3 Maleva sisters, against the French veteran Natalie Tosia, trying to pull off what would be seen on paper as the upset of Maleva, because Maleva is seeded 10th, but in reality this is one of those seeding situations, John. Maleva more of a clay court player, right?
More of a clay court player, and Tosia has great results on grass, and this is one of those matches where in the locker room a lot of the players would not really be feeling that this would be an upset if it occurred.
Mm-hmm. Tosia fiddling with her racket, and Magdalena looks away.
Out! 15-30.
45 minutes yet to go on the air. Stick with us for more live match coverage. We'll take you back to Stefan Edberg against Mikael Tillström very shortly. Well, was there any doubt that there would be a good chance for an upset, or at least for a seeded player to fall? Double match point for Tosia. We are, after all, on court 2, and there it is. Natalie Tosia doesn't look all that happy about winning, but she's got a 9-7 victory in the third to knock out Magdalena Maleva. And in the next round, Natalie Tosia will be taking on Patricia He-Boulay of UCLA and Canada. A year ago, He-Boulay was the woman who played and ultimately lost to Chanda Rubin, the longest women's singles match in the history of a Grand Slam championship. So Natalie Tosia takes her grass court talents on into that round. He-Boulay having beaten Natasha Zvereva today. And now let's go back to Barry McKay to pick up Edberg. Was playing Claire Taylor. We pick up the action at 5-2 Pierce in the second set. Mary having taken the first set 6-4. John Lloyd, you called this with me as we take a look at the statuesque American woman. Prime exponent of what Mary Carrillo calls big babe tennis. Her term, not mine. And there it was. Victory for Mary Pierce over Claire Taylor. Taylor, another ill-fated Briton on what has become something of a Black Thursday for the British players. And in the next,
up and ready to go, trying to close out this match. Court number 1. We are in a rain delay, and we're showing you some action from earlier on day number 5. Court 1. Mary Jo Fernandez, the number 9 seed, trying to serve out the match and win it in straight sets. It's going to go long, 3 points away.
Also, Mary Jo, to win that French Open with losing Davenport, they had to beat Arantxa, Sanchez, Vicario, and Yana Novotná, as well as Gigi Fernandez and Natasha Zvereva. Those are 2 big wins.
Big wins. Zvereva and Gigi are tough. And
that's what I'd like to see Mary Jo do. Every time she gets that mid-court ball, go, because she's really excellent at net, Barry.
Plus, the big forehand is a fine approach shot.
But she's trying to get a little more power on that. Just turn it up a notch.
serve, miss hit on the return. And so Mary Jo Fernandez now at triple match point. Finally nets a forehand.
Hanging in. You know, most players do play better at this time of the match. They get loose, they try things they should have been doing earlier. That was good execution from Lobat, even though it's very windy out here, as you can see.
Still match point. Mary Jo trying to close it out. The slice will catch the tape.
Miss Fernandez.
And so Mary Jo Fernandez, a straight set winner earlier today on court number 1. The number 9 seed moves ahead to the round of 16. She'll play the winner of Anke Huber and Sugiyama. And so Mary Jo waiting for those two. And now, Jim, back to you.
All right, thank you, Barry. Let's move over to court number 3. And Sanchez Vicario, seeded 4th, fell down 2-4 in the first set, seemed to be bothered somewhat by a wrist injury, but then shook off the discomfort, claimed 12 of the next 13 games, and went on to blow away Sawamatsu. She moves on into the next round as she looks to get back to the final where she went last year, and maybe this time take care of business against Steffi Graf. Arantxa's powerful desire to win and relentless.
Out wide. Oh. And there it was. Becker grabbed his wrist right after he returned, Billy.
Hit the ball late.
And at this point, everybody just saying, what is happening with the Becker wrist? He's trying to shake it off. Now watch this. The racket, he grabs again, immediately releases it. Another look at this return here.
Late, and as soon as he makes contact with the ball, he drops his racket. That's how much pain he is in. He's grimacing, holding his right wrist with his left hand.
And at this stage, Billy, he still had the racket in his hand. Now he's trying to wave it around, and you can see the pain there as he went through a practice swing.
Right, on the finish of it.
Now he's talking to the umpire, appealing perhaps for some help. Mike DePalmer Jr., concerned.
Barbara, very concerned.
And Boris saying, I want to check it out right now, asking for the trainer. This is Richard Kaufman in the chair, one of the experienced tour umpires. And suddenly a hush came across court number 1 as Becker, grimacing, in pain, obviously, as Neville Godwin went over to sit down. And now suddenly a very quiet court number 1. Barbara Feltus, Boris's wife, very concerned.
All right, thanks very much, Barry and Billie Jean. So we'll take you now through an edited sequence that demonstrates what happened from this point forward. Becker waiting there for an ATP Tour trainer who had been summoned to the court. Trainer named Doug Speen eventually arrived. There's Speen. Took him a couple of minutes to get there. During that time, as you saw, Neville Godwin lay on his back with his feet up, attempting to completely ignore the situation and, to all appearances, doing a pretty doggone good job of it. Speen began to speak to Becker, and after a 3-minute injury treatment period, Becker got up, placed the outer wrap over the bandage on his wrist, attempted at that point a couple of swings with the racket to get a bead on whether he might be able to play. Wife, Barbara Feltus Becker, in excruciating suspense over the situation. Incidentally, lots of Becker's good friends from the German national soccer team seated in the stands watching this match on tickets provided by Boris himself. It was supposed to be a happy occasion. Yet another step toward what Becker hoped would be a glorious denouement in this, his 13th Wimbledon Lawn Tennis Championships. And I'll make it 14th Wimbledon Lawn Tennis Championship. No, actually the 13th, but at any rate, you saw there the moment when Becker turned to Neville Godwin and to the chair umpire and said, I'm not going to be able to continue, and the crowd, so stunned moments before, realized what they were watching and rose to applaud the warrior. And moments later, this is what he had to say to the assembled press corps about the injury.
In English, Boris, can you explain what happened, how it felt when it happened?
Well, the first point in the tiebreaker, and I hit a pretty hard second serve in sliding into my body, and I had to turn my body when I was trying to hit a forehand, and I hit it too late, and my wrist gave away, and I heard something pop, and from then on I couldn't at all hold the racket anymore. And I waited for the trainer. He taped it, but then I made one practice serve, and I thought the wrist is going to go away. And that's the situation now. I have to go to the hospital now and to do an X-rays and just to see if how serious it is.
Did the trainer think it was ligament tendon? Did he indicate what he thought?
Yeah, he from feeling, from testing with his hand, he thinks there could be a bone could be chipped off from the tendon. Like a piece of bone.
Was it in the wrist or in the forearm?
No, in the wrist. Right.
From there, Becker politely declined to do any one-on-one interviews with broadcast organizations, got into a car, as you see, and left the grounds of the All England Club, apparently headed, as the English would say, to hospital. An official statement has come from the referee's office now regarding that, as it says that for the time being, Boris Becker will be remaining here in London until his German doctor arrives. A further statement will be issued as soon as we have more information. The net import of that Becker elected not to be treated and diagnosed by English doctors, but rather prefers to be seen by a German doctor. We're told now that a man named Müller-Bofarth, who is the national team doctor for the German soccer program and has also been Becker's personal physician for quite some time, has decided to fly back to England from Germany tomorrow, so it will be tomorrow at the earliest before Becker sees the doctor of his choice and begins to get a full diagnosis and treatment as to what's wrong with his injured wrist. No great urgency there because he's not in doubles competition, and as far as the rest of his weekend goes, Becker has no particular official business other than to find out what's wrong with the wrist, get it treated. He can do that at his leisure, and then of course you expect that he's going to go Sunday night to Wembley Stadium for Germany's final round European Championship soccer match against the upstart team from the Czech Republic. What does this do to the men's draw? Well, here is the quarter of the draw in which Becker was operating, and as you can see, there are no seeded players left. Courier, Engqvist, and Butch were already gone from this section of the draw. Godwin moves forward as the result of Becker's retirement. Washington moved forward on a straight-set win over Ullrich earlier today. Stark and Wheaton still
against Karol Kuchera of Slovakia. Sampras seeks a fourth consecutive Wimbledon title, a feat no American has ever achieved. Also from center court, Steffi Graf meets American Nicole Arndt. Graf at 27 after her 20th Grand Slam title, a mighty champion playing in her prime. And then from court 2, 10th seed Michael Stieck plays Australia's Sandon Stolle, the son of three-time Wimbledon finalist Fred Stolle. Stieck, the champion here 5 years ago, has his big game at peak form. Meanwhile, on court 14, 13th seed American Davis Cupper Todd Martin meets Italy's Renzo Furlan. Martin playing in the decimated bottom half of the men's draw. He knows the direction and how close he could be to a Wimbledon final. As we look down on the 42 acres, the 18 grass courts of the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, famed Wimbledon, and we welcome you to center court where the defending champion, three-time champion.
First two sets, McGrath won in 24 minutes in the third. And if things had gone according to form, McGrath would have met Monica Seles in the round of 16. But the form of this championship started coming undone before the first ball was put into play.
Forget lucky 7. Injuries forcing 7th seeds Tomas Muster and Chanda Rubin to pull out before the championship. Then on Black Monday, 3rd seed Andre Agassi, 6th seed Michael Chang, 8th seed Jim Courier. 3 Americans all vanished. On day 2, England's Tim Henman felt 5th seed Yevgeny Kafelnikov, the French Open champion. Day 3 of the slaughter of the seeds, Monica Seles, number 2, eliminated. Day 4 and the carnage continues. Number 12, Stefan Edberg, gone from his final Wimbledon, along with American Lindsay Davenport. And day 5, Boris Becker, a 3-time Wimbledon champion and number 2 seed, forced to retire from his match with a wrist injury. In all, 16 of the 32 seeds gone by the end of play on day 5. So, Bud, what are the tabloids going to talk about this week? Andre Agassi is gone.
He's gone. The seeds have gone away like Hillary Clinton's notes.
What happened to Agassi?
Agassi, the Beatles had a song about Agassi. The nowhere man. He is nowhere. There's a vacuum here. What's going on? He's got what the French call poignée d'amour, love handles. So does Monica Seles. He just doesn't have any interest in tennis right now. Too bad, because he's been pointing for the Olympics, but why should he even go to the Olympics? Todd Martin would look good in that spot.
Todd Martin, one of only 2 seeded Americans left, of course, along with Pete Sampras on the men's side. Now, what about Monica Seles, the number 2 seed, out on the women's side?
I tell you, it wasn't the typical Monica Seles out there. She was just flat. She's not moving well. She's put on a little bit of weight, like Buzz has said. And she wasn't...
You said it. Wait, you said it.
I said it also. She wasn't moving, and she wasn't hitting her shots. She was tentative out there. She was playing scared. And Studenikova played very well. I got to give her credit, especially after the rain delay in the 3rd set. She came out. She played steady, heavy slice backhand. But Monica wasn't on the baseline and dictating play like she usually does. She was about 5 feet behind the baseline and just kind of stroking with Studenikova.
Scared. You say scared,
very
really?
Scared.
Which brings up an interesting point, scared, because Katerina Studenikova, who does not have a lot of experience at Wimbledon, not a lot of Grand Slam experience.
Never won a match here.
And yet she said she was not scared of Monica Seles. If the other players aren't scared of you, you've lost a mental edge.
Well, a lot of the players, I think a lot of the players aren't scared of Monica anymore, especially she lost to Novotna badly at the French. She didn't play a great match there. Now losing at Wimbledon like this to Studenikova, it's not a great showing, and it shows that Monica is playing scared. I mean, Studenikova can only...
1987, Boris Becker, 2-time defending champion, vanquished in the 2nd round on court 1 by an underdog, Peter Duhan. A shocking upset. Becker, of course, would return. And on court 1, Monica Seles did return after a 4-year absence to the All-England club, only to be upset this week in the 2nd round by Katerina Studenikova. Seles will return again, but not to this court 1. Not to this court, the scene of some of Wimbledon's greatest moments. In 1990, Zina Garrison-Jackson, although down match point to Seles, won and eventually advanced to the final. On court 1, Navratilova flashed her unique genius, and lesser knowns were inspired to greatness as well. Acrobatics and athleticism, valiant volleys and giant ground strokes. Grins and grunts, acknowledgement and applause. Pluck and luck mixed in equal measure. Court 1, overshadowed by center court, but with a distinct history and personality all its own.
Well, as old as you may ever grow to be, you're always going to be reminded of that scene. And it was wonderful theater. I thought you were going to break a gasket in that first scene when you really
I started slow.
Yeah, you were so polite the way you approached the chair.
I've actually gotten a lot of positive feedback about that match. It still turns out to be one of my best moments. Obviously, the other great moment was that 1992 doubles win with Michael Steek. The way the crowd came out that Monday, the following at the end of the tournament, never play again. I think that's a good way to go out. I also like to add, for the few people that care, I never lost a match, singles match on court 1, so it treated me quite well.
For those of us who watched it at the time, John, we agonized at times when you got terribly angry, and we also applauded within your great successes. Did you hear the the fullness of the support when you played with Stieg for the doubles, how much people wanted you to win?
I also heard the chalk come up, you know, in the serve in 1981. But I think the difference in the 92 match was that they let in, quote-unquote, the average Joe in London. They didn't charge anyone the price of admission, and so tough to get tickets here. Only the wealthy get it. And it was nice to see the average Londoner to come in, and they were chanting our names before the match even started, and that was inspiring when as stiff as I was in the locker room that day.
Well, court number 1 is provided in the...
Hingis defeated Graf in their last meeting in Rome. Then to court 1, where Michael Stieg, the 1991 champion, will match his power game against hard-serving Dutchman Richard Krejcik. 2 serve and volley virtuosos, Goran Ivanisevic and Patrick Rafter, tangle on court 2. Ivanisevic, twice a finalist here, feels this is his year. Out on court 14, Mary Pierce, the 13th seed, once the Australian Open champion, hopes to continue the joys of her best Wimbledon. Also on 14, Lansing, Michigan's Todd Martin, also a 13th seed and remarkably the only remaining seeded player in the bottom half of the gentleman's draw. They're all ready for a marvelous Monday at Wimbledon.
So it comes to a boil the second week of Wimbledon, and Steffi Graf, she's the focal point for the women.
Definitely. Tomorrow playing Martina Hingis, such a talented young player. I'm really looking forward to that match. And also on the bottom half, you know, we haven't given enough respect to Arantxa Sanchez Vicario. She gave Steffi Graf a real run for her money here in the finals last year, and she can play on grass now. She can come in and hit those volleys. Also, Mary Jo Fernandez, we haven't talked about her. She's a solid, crafty veteran. I look for those two to play in the semis.
How about you, John?
Well, can I mention Mary Pierce as well, because my buddy Joe Giuliano is coaching her, so I want him to get his due as well. But on the men's side, I think things have settled down a little bit. We got 3 Americans left, and 2 of them, I think, have a realistic shot at getting to the finals. Obviously, Pete Sampras, the 3-time defending champion, and also Todd Martin. And let's hope also for Malavia Washington that he beats the veteran Paul Harhouse, who will be a tough match for him, but I like his chances.
I know Bud Collins likes Michael Stieg, and every time you see Goran Ivanisevic, he's made it to 2 finals, and who knows, maybe he says he's got his priest with him now. He's trying to control his temper.
Well, put it back, pal. Priest's engines will be out to my high.
48 hours ago in London's Hyde Park, more than 150,000 culture vultures feasted on some of the biggest names in rock and roll at the Prince's Trust benefit concert, highlighted by the live premiere of The Who's Quadrophenia. Today, the All England Club is a who's who of tennis's greatest stars and Week 1 upset makers who have advanced to the round of 16 at Wimbledon. How many of the favorites won't get fooled again? Saturday, Alanis Morissette may have had one hand in her pocket while the other was giving a high five. But if Tim Henman becomes Britain's first native son to make the quarterfinal in 23 years, that'll be the kind of thing about which you ought to know. 2-time finalist Goran Ivanisevic is ready to limber up the southpaw siege gun again today, leaving his opponent like Bob Dylan, blowing in the wind. And if 3-time defending champion Pete Sampras keeps disarming his foes with relative ease, he'll prove, like Pete Townsend, that after the fire still burns. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. It's that way for Eric Clapton, who held center stage Saturday night. It's that way for Steffi Graf, as she continues her quest for a 7th singles title here, with every intention of looking wonderful tonight.
Against a young Swede named Thomas Johansson, who's a rising player they have never met before. On court 13, Mary Jo Fernandez, 9th seeded and freshly added to the United States Olympic team, and happy about that, takes on Ai Sugiyama, the woman who upset Huber over the weekend. Fernandez has won both of their previous 2 meetings. Malavia Washington has made it into the round of 16 among the men. He plays another unseeded player, Paul Harhouse of the Netherlands, and tennis's best little Harhouse won their only previous meeting. On court 2, an artillery festival between Goran Ivanisevic and Australian Queenslander Patrick Rafter. They've never met before, but Rafter has the kind of game which could stretch Evo out on grass. And on court number 1 today, it'll be Arantxa Sanchez Vicario against the Belgian woman Sabine Appelmans. Appelmans coming off an